everybody, welcome to our Snowtastic Poetry Corner. My name's Ashley and I'm a Children's and Youth Services Librarian for London Public Library, and I'm here to share with you a couple super fun poems about winter, as well as a nice poetry activity after. Poetry is great because it can help us process things in time of anxiety, and it can help us brighten our moods in times we may be frustrated. The first poem that I'm going to read for you is Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein, and you may know this author as the author of The Giving Tree. And this poem is called Snowman. 'Twas the first day of springtime, and the snowman stood alone. As the winter snows were melting, and the pine trees seemed to groan. Ah, you poor sad smiling snowman, you'll be melting by and by, said the snowman. What a pity! For I'd like to see July. Yes, I'd like to see July, and please don't ask me why. But I'd like to, yes, I'd like to, oh, I'd like to see July. Chirped a robin just arriving. Seasons come and seasons go, and the greatest ice must crumble when its flower's time to grow. And as one thing is beginning, so another thing must die. And there's never been a snowman who has ever seen July. No, they never see July, no matter how hard they try. No, they never ever, never ever, never ever see July. But the snowman sniffed his carrot nose and said, at least I'll try. And he bravely smiled his frosty smile and blinked his coal-black eye. And there he stood and faced the sun, ablazing from the sky. And I really cannot tell you if he ever saw July. Did he ever see July? You can guess as well as I. If he ever saw July. And that is from Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein, which we were able to read on permission of HarperCollins, so we thank them for allowing us to read this today. And I like these types of poems because they're a little bit funny, a little bit quirky. A lot of times people think poetry has to be very serious business, but I very much disagree. I think sometimes the best poems are the ones that just make us smile a little bit. So the other poem that I'm going to share with you today is from a book called What's the Weather Inside by Karma Wilson. And we are reading this on permission of Simon & Schuster's. And this poem is called Not So Hot Dogs. If you eat your hot dogs cold, I guess they're not so hot. We shouldn't call them hot dogs when hot is what they're not. So if you eat your hot dogs cold, plain or chopped in bread, you shouldn't call them hot dogs, call them chili dogs instead. So they have a nice little pun there at the end, because it is very chilly outside as well. So those are the poems I'm so happy to share with you today. And we're going to do a quick example of a poetry activity. And the poetry activity that we're going to do is called blackout poetry. And this is how it goes. We find a page of words. Skim to find a theme from the words that you like. And don't read too carefully. Circle lightly with a pencil the words you'd like to use. On another piece of paper, write down the words you circled in order. Cross out the ones you don't want to use. Go back to your page of words and start blacking out the text around your circled words. You can even add drawings if you want, and then share your poetry with friends and family. And now we're back, and that was our poetry activity and a nice little example there. And poetry comes in so many forms and shapes. And another type of poetry that's become really popular recently is prose poetry. And that's where a whole story is told in poetry format. So an example of that would be these books, The One Thing You'd Save. And this is a book about a group of students in elementary school who discuss what the one thing they'd save would be if there was a fire, and it creates a very heated debate. Or another example is The Crossover, and this is a fast-paced book music, basketball, friendship, family, and brotherhood. So there's so many different options when you're looking for poetry books, from very short little poems like we just saw to whole stories in poetry form. And you can check out these and many more items from our library catalog at www.lpl.ca. Thank you so much for joining me today for our Poetry Corner. Bye, guys.